Why do I care if something is alive? Alright, we can treat it properly, we'll handle it.
If it's alive, it can like bite you.
It's alive, it can bite you. Can somebody read their answer to Tuesday's Do Now?
Study of life.
What is this class? And what is biology? Right, study of living things. If I can't determine what's alive, how do I know what to study? So it seems like a logical place to start, right? It's a free-for-all in here if we can't figure out what's alive. We'll be studying desks and floor tiles and water and dust mites. Oh, but those are alive. But dust. So we have to be able to figure out what is actually alive. Based on what you guys decided, how do you know if something's alive? I'm assuming you looked at these things and you were like, no. No.
The face.
No.
Was anything alive?
Yeah. No. No. Is that about how it worked?
Yes, yes, I did.
Okay. How did you decide? It's arbitrary. I will tell you that there are 4 of the 7 that are in fact alive.
I get a lot of those.
Now I'm going to tell you which is which. Where's the fun in being told the right answer? Really? How would you decide? If I were to say yes, one of those is alive, what would I be looking for?
Well, like, what if it was alive in the past? Would that still count?
If it was at one point living, it would still count. Okay, so signs of growth. How many of you agree, disagree, signs of growth? Okay. What else? What happens when your dog reaches full size? Does it still grow?
No.
Okay. Is it still alive?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're still looking for signs of growth?
Could breathe.
Do all living things breathe?
All living things eat us.
Do all living things breathe?
Nice one. Fish. Wait, fish don't think
Yes, fish do
Oh,
need oxygen.
H2O it has oxygen.
There is oxygen in the water.
So, I'm gonna let you guys discuss this with your table mates because we have the hypothesis that living things need oxygen. Take a minute, discuss with the person you're sitting with, is that true? Do all living things need oxygen?
Not plants because they eat carbon dioxide, but they put out oxygen.
Okay, so we're saying that plants photosynthesize. Do plants also respire? What is respiration?
It's like our system.
It's our version of respiration is breathing. Do all living things breathe?
No. Plants like what's it called? I forgot. No. Yes. So they don't breathe.
Plants do both. Plants do both. They will both use oxygen and create oxygen. So wait a minute. If plants both use oxygen and create oxygen, we use oxygen. Do all living things need oxygen?
Yes. Yes.
I'm positive.
Suspense is killing me. Let's go.
What if it's something that used to be alive, but has gone extinct?
So then it's dead. Then it's dead.
It's extinct, but it was living, and it didn't require oxygen when it was alive.
So if it was ever dead.
Well,
It would be good.
If it's extinct and there's nothing left that uses oxygen,
What are you talking
There are certain kinds of bacteria that we call anaerobic bacteria. Anaerobic bacteria do not require oxygen. But they're alive, aren't they?
yes.
So instead of saying need oxygen, we're going to phrase it slightly differently. Our version of that is using oxygen and excreting the waste carbon dioxide. You call it breathing. But not all living things breathe. So we can't say living things breathe because, well, trees don't breathe, and I'm fairly confident they're alive. You agree?
Yes,
Bacteria, does it breathe?
Yeah.
Is it alive?
Yeah.
Yes.
Fungi,
I'm a fun guy.
Mushrooms are fun. They're alive.
Yeah.
That is so
fungi, are they alive?
Yes.
Do they breathe?
No.
Do they respire?
Yes.
So, we just have to be very careful with that. So we can look for growth, we can look for chemical respiration. Did we see any of these things doing that?
No.
Yes.
Then how can we use either of these two things?
Well, little black ones that have little seeds and have lots. There's two little black ones. So shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake.
Stop.
Okay? What else? All living things must do certain things. It's how we know they're alive. It's how we put them in the category of living. You guys agree all living things must reproduce?
Yeah.
You know what happens to a living thing that fails to reproduce before it dies? Extinction, right?
Yep.
What else? Adapts to its surroundings. Do you mean like over short amounts of time or long amounts of time? Like, are you talking about in its lifetime, like in 5 minutes, or like over generations?
say long, long sense.
Long is nice. How many of you agree with Colton's argument that we should say long because long is nice? How many of you think that's an effective argument to make with the scientist? You can't vote for yourself.
Oh.
adapts to its surroundings. Okay? There are multiple ways I can interpret that. What I'm asking is, are we talking about a short temporary change in its surroundings, or are we talking about something over a very long period of time? So, in your lifetime, is it possible for you to adapt to your surroundings?
Yes.
Is that true for all living things?
No.
With your partner, take a minute to discuss what it means to adapt to one's surroundings in your lifetime. So far you've told me all living things grow, all living things are going to undergo chemical respiration, they're all going to reproduce, they're all going to respond to their environment, they're all going to evolve, they all need energy. There's all of them have some form of metabolism, but we're missing two more. Two more things all living things do. I live out in the middle of nowhere, and my next door neighbor, Dwayne, has a pool in his backyard. And a very small dog whose name is Sassy. And next to neighbor Dwayne's pool is a gigantic tree. And neighbor Dwayne's gigantic tree is a cottonwood tree, so if any of you are familiar with the cottonwood, it's the one that make all the little fuzzies around mid-June, right?
Yes.
Now here's the problem, is neighbor Dwayne's got a pool, right? In-ground pool. He can't open his pool until after the cottonwoods have let all their fuzzies out, because if not, it clogs his pool filter, burns out the motor, and he's gone through a whole bunch of pool motors, filter motors, all that. So he's decided that he's just not going to open the pool until after the cottonwoods fuzz. Well, what's the fun in that? It's already like July by the time neighbor Dwayne opens his pool. So neighbor Dwayne has a plan. I do not advocate for this plan. Disclaimer, this is a terrible plan. Neighbor Dwayne is perfectly capable of paying to have someone cut down the tree. But neighbor Dwayne won't. Because it apparently is a waste of money, when you could do it significantly more simply.
Is this a true story?
I'll do it for it.
Oh my god.
Now, just so we're all aware, there are trees in my yard that I don't want there either. I solved it very simply. It's called a chainsaw. Works great. Chainsaw chaps, gloves, chainsaw, goggles, zip, done. Right?
Yeah.
Easy. Neighbor Dwayne won't do that. So neighbor Dwayne instead has decided it is appropriate to drill holes into the bark of his tree and pour in as much salt as he can fit into those holes. I told you it was a bad idea.
Great idea.
Have you told him that you thought of that?
I suggested that there were probably better ways to deal with it. I was like, no, I'm a biologist by training. And actually, extensive background in dendrology, which is the study of trees. I was like,
Oh my.
I can tell you exactly what you need to do to get rid of that tree. Pretty much an arborist lives next door to you. And he's like, it's too much money. I was like, I'll loan you my chainsaw. Not that hard. Too much effort. Well, fine. Okay. This apparently is less effort. Take a drill holes in the bark, fill it with salt. What is neighbor Dwayne trying to do?
That's like torture.
Yeah, he is trying to, honest to God, this is a true story. He is trying to dry out his tree. In order to do what?
Or to cut it down.
Yeah, here's what I don't get. He's trying to kill it before he cuts it down. Like, killing it's not going to cut the tree down. Like, he knows there's still going to be a dead tree standing there, right? I'm just glad that we both live on 2 1/4 acres. So, like, we're actually far enough apart that I only have to interact with him, like, once a month. And that's just because we accidentally happen to be wheeling our garbage out at the same time. God love him. So, he's trying to kill the tree. He's been trying this for the 3 years I have lived in this house. I stopped sending Christmas cards after the first year. I was like, why is the tree not dying?
That's really
Because there's not enough salt to overpower all the water in the huge tree.
What is the tree able to do? And is it making like long-term changes or short-term changes when it adapts?
What did she say?
Adapt. It's responding to its environment by making some really short-term changes, right? It just manages to excrete enough sap from the bark to flush out the salt. And thus, really, he's just got a holy tree with a bunch of, like, scars on it now. Is that something all living things can do? Like, try and, like, respond to its environment in a way to, like, maintain health? So if I were to say, like, ask you to, I don't know, eat 3 tablespoons of straight salt, what would your body do?
Say no and put it a song
Does it
way.
say yes and then I'd flush it down with a baby shower?
So there are 2 possibilities here. You are going to get, like, massively thirsty. Agreed?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or you are going to get massively sick, like Vomitosaurus Rex, right? Like, what is your body doing when you either get thirsty or you get sick?
It's like fighting it, kind of.
It's fighting it. It's trying to get rid of the threatening thing in a process. Homeostasis. Trying to maintain a stable internal environment. You do it all the time. If I turn the temperature up in here, you're going to sweat. If I turn it down, you're going to shiver. Homeostasis. All living things will maintain homeostasis. Everything. If it can't, then it dies. Unfortunately for Dwayne, he's not pushing the tree quite hard enough, but I'm not going to be the one to tell him that. Because that tree dries out and it gets windy, you know, his house it's going to fall on. You want a new neighbor? There's actually there's a tree in his yard I'm thinking about cutting down.
I live in my neighborhood.
Can we just trade neighbors?
No, houses. Entire house, pick them up.
But I would still live next to neighbor Dwayne if we just traded houses.
Okay. Trade houses, but take your houses with you and trade locations at the same time. So like, I would live where
Why don't you
live.
just switch, like, why don't you just...
What?
Right.
Because I like my house.
The last rule or last truth about life, I don't know that you guys would come to in discussion because it's kind of a little bit heady, if you will. All living things must obey rules of chemistry and physics. Now, I don't like this rule because it means as a biologist, I have to know chemistry and physics. I thought I purposely chose biology so I could ignore all the other nonsense that goes on down the hall. What rules do I mean? Rules you're probably actually familiar with. If I called them by their proper names, you would be like, no, don't know it. If I said first and second laws of thermodynamics, you'd be like, no. But if I said energy cannot be created nor destroyed, you'd be like, yeah, that sounds familiar. That's a rule of physics. All living things must obey it. It means that we're not just going to create energy, which is how I know there's no way Colton is going to spontaneously combust anyone in this room. He can't just make energy appear.
Teachers and students, please excuse this late day announcement. The JV volleyball team has a 2 o'clock dismissal today. Thank you.
And also, just a reminder, tomorrow we have a schedule, liturgy schedule, so 6th hour will be first. Again, tomorrow is a liturgy schedule with 6th hour being first. Thank you.
We do get our pray on tomorrow, and we will see each other first.
Wait, and then it goes back to Rome, right? It's 6 and then
6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Rules of chemistry that must be obeyed. Matter cannot be created nor destroyed, so in other words, there is no spontaneous generation. Things don't just appear out of nowhere. So those are some of our other, things that all living things may have to follow, those rules. Now, can you apply these things to our 7 unknowns to test whether or not they are alive? You think you can figure it out? Why would we have to test whether or not it's alive? What kind of class is this? Which academic discipline does it fall in?
science.
All science involves testing. So, this chapter you're designing a test, right? You're designing an experiment. Guess what you're going to design next chapter?
Another experiment.
And the chapter after that?
Another experiment.
Yeah, craziness. Go figure.
Is there a normal biology class I can go into?
You want to leave me already?